We have all seen plastic pollution in oceans, on beaches, in landfills. But now scientists are uncovering plastic in a place we never expected, the air we breathe. Invisible to the eyes, microplastics are now being detected in lungs of living people, in human blood, and even in the placentas of unborn babies. Once thought to be a problem for marine life, plastic pollution is now becoming a direct threat to human life and is happening right under our noses. Microplastics are tiny plastic particles less than 5 millimeters in size, created when larger plastics break down or when synthetic materials like clothing, tires, or packaging shed fibers. And it's not just outdoors. Every time we wear polyester clothing, vacuum the carpet, open a plastic wrapper, or dry our laundry, we release plastic particles into the air. And it's not just outdoors. Every time we wear polyester clothing, vacuum the carpet, open a plastic wrapper, or dry our laundry, we release plastic particles into the air. Unlike dust or pollen, these synthetic fragments don't break down naturally. Instead, they accumulate, and many are small enough to be inhaled directly into the lungs. A 2023 study from Columbia University found that in some major cities, people inhaled the equivalent of a credit card's worth of plastic every week, not through food or water, but through air. That's about 5 grams of plastic entering your respiratory system every week. Airborne microplastics have now been detected on every continent, from New York City to the Arctic Circle and even at the summit of Mount Everest. They are found in household dust, office buildings, buses, cars, virtually every door and outdoor space we occupy, and they are getting deeper into the body than ever thought possible. In 2022, British researchers detected microplastics in the deep lung tissue of living human patients. These weren't post-mortem samples. They were from people undergoing surgery, alive, breathing, functioning, with plastic embedded in their lungs. When plastics enter the lungs, it doesn't just sit there. Microplastics can trigger chronic inflammation, cause tissue damage, disrupt cell signaling and immune response, carry toxic chemicals like BPA, phthalates, and flame retardants. These chemicals are endocrine disruptors. They interfere with hormone function and have been linked to infertility, birth defects, early puberty, obesity, hormone-related cancers like breast and prostate cancer. Studies also suggest microplastics may play a role in asthma and bronchitis, lung scarring, or pulmonary fibrosis, cardiovascular disease due to inflation spilling over from lung tissue into the bloodstream, and potentially neurodegenerative conditions if plastic reach the brain. In 2022, Dutch researchers made a chilling discovery: microplastics in human blood. That means they're moving through our bodies, carried by our own circulatory system, potentially reaching the heart, the liver, and even the brain. And in 2020, scientists found plastic particles in the placentas of unborn babies. These fragments were on the fetus side of the placenta, raising urgent questions about developmental health and long-term exposure risks. No one is completely safe, but some grounds are more vulnerable. Children breathe faster than adults and are closer to the ground, where heavier plastic particles settle. Workers in textile factories, recycling plants, and construction sites face much higher exposure levels. People living near highways or industrial areas inhale more microplastic from tire wear and airborne debris. And indoors, where we spend 90% of our lives, plastic pollution is often concentrated and unfiltered. In 2019, a U.S. Geological Survey report, literally titled "It's Raining Plastic," found microplastics in 90% of rain samples collected across Colorado, including national parks and remote areas far from urban life. Another study found that over 10 tons of airborne plastic fall on the city of Paris every year, just from the sky. This means we are not just breathing plastic, we are walking through it, touching it, eating it, and drinking it. Despite the growing evidence, there are currently no regulations for microplastics in air quality monitoring, no safety limits, no filtration standards, no long-term studies on cumulative exposure. Scientists say we are decades behind in understanding this threat and falling further behind every day that plastic production continues to rise. By 2050, plastic production is expected to triple and airborne pollution is expected to grow within. This is a global crisis, but solutions start at home. That is why experts recommend using air purifiers with HEPA filters, vacuuming with high-efficiency filters, not sweeping or dry dusting, choosing natural fibers over polyester or nylon, washing synthetics less often and with microfiber catching filters, reducing personal use of single-use plastics, and most importantly, pushing for regulation and public health policies that treat microplastics as the serious hazards they are. We can no longer say out of sight, out of mind. Microplastics are in our lungs, in our blood, and in our unborn children. They are silent, invisible, and potentially toxic, and we breathe them in every single day. This is no longer just an environmental issue, it's a human health emergency, and the time to act is now. Niyonsenga for STN.